Greetings, aspiring sea wolves. Welcome back to the channel. Let me introduce you to RN Duilio, a battleship built for the Italian Navy during World War I and the ultimate incarnation of the Andrea Doria-Class found in Warthunder. It also has my vote for one of the best looking ship classes added to date. The Andrea Doria-Class, or the Duilio class depending on where you're from, was a pair of dreadnought battleships built for the Royal Italian Navy between 1912 and 1916. Completed during World War I, the two ships were an incremental improvement over the preceding Conte di Cavour class, which saw a reduction in the superstructure, the lowering of the amidships gun turret, and the upgrade of the secondary armament. Duilio, the second of two sisters, was named after the Roman fleet commander Gaius Duilius, a Roman statesman who was responsible for ancient Rome's first victory at sea, fought against the Carthaginians in 2060 BC during the First Punic War. Duilio saw no action during World War I, owing to Italy's main rival, the Austro-Hungarian Navy, being based mainly in the Adriatic. The Italian Navy deemed the danger of submarines and mine layers to be too great in such narrow waters. As a result, Duilio only went on 4 patrols during the war and was operational for only a total of 70 hours. Post-war, she cruised the Mediterranean in the 1920s and was involved in the Corfu incident of 1923. During World War II, she participated in numerous patrols and sorties into the Mediterranean, both to escort Italian convoys to North Africa and in attempts to catch the British Mediterranean fleet. In 1940, the British launched an air raid on Taranto, and Duilio was hit by one torpedo launched by a swordfish torpedo bomber. This forced her to be laid up for some time to repair the damage. Fuel shortages in 1942 forced the majority of the Italian fleet out of service until the surrender of 1943. Duilio was among them. She survived the war and continued to serve into the post-war Italian Navy, primarily as a training ship before being scrapped in 1957. In Warthunder, we have both ships of the class, with Duilio being the 1942 refit, and thus coming after Andrea Doria in the tech tree. Due to the extensive modernization program, both ships are vastly different. In the 1930s, the Regia Marina began design work on the new Littorio class battleships, but it recognized that they would not be complete for some time. In response to the new French Dunkirk class battleships, the Italian Navy decided to modernize its old battleships, and work began in 1937 on Duilio. The existing bow was dismantled and a new longer bow section was built, which increased the overall length of the ship to 186 meters. Their beam was increased to 28 meters, or 92 feet, and their draft was increased to 10 meters, or 33 feet. The changes made during their reconstruction increased their displacement to 20,391 long tons. The ship's crew increased to 70 officers and 1,450 enlisted men. 2 prop shafts were removed, and the turbines were replaced by 2 sets of Baluzzo geared steam turbines rated at 75,000 shaft horsepower. The boilers were replaced by 8 superheated Yarrow boilers, and the maximum speed was increased to about 26 knots or 48 km an hour. The ship now carried 2,500 long tons of fuel oil, which provided them with a range of about 4,000 nautical miles at cruising speed. She was initially armed with a battery of 13 305mm or 12-inch guns, but these were bored out to 320mm, with an electrical traverse system installed. The center turret and torpedo tubes were removed, and all of the existing secondary armament and AA guns were replaced by a dozen 135mm or 5.3-inch guns in 4 triple turrets towards the bow of the ship. 10 90mm AA guns in single turrets were mounted on either side of the ship. In addition, they were fitted with 15 54 caliber 37mm light AA guns in 6 twin gun and 3 single mounts. 16 20mm AA guns were also fitted in twin mounts. In early 1942, the 20mm mounts abaft the Z turret were moved to the roof of turret B. Deck armor was increased to 135mm, and the armor protecting the secondary turrets was 120mm. These modernizations have been criticized by some naval historians because of the cost of the reconstruction was not much less than the cost of building a brand new Littorio class. Moreover, the reconstruction work caused bottlenecks in providing the steel plates that caused substantial delays in the construction of their more modern battleships. Despite not seeing much action compared to her contemporary battleships, both ships have very storied histories, and I encourage you to look further into those. I recently made a video about USS Nevada. If you haven't seen that, the link will be up in the corner, in which I stated that the USS Nevada is more of a side grade to USS Arizona. In the case of the RN Duilio, that is not true at all. This ship is a monumental upgrade over the Andrea Doria. Substantially more armor, 130mm, all the way down to 230 on the main belt. Got a pretty decent deck armor, 240 on the turret faces, and a decently armored barbette system. Got an armored bridge of 250mm on the fore and 200 on the aft. And the 90mm guns do have some protection, though it's not much against large caliber shells. If you take away the external armor, you can see here that the barbette system actually has 2 layers of armoring. 170 and 120 on the faces, and 240 on the rings, so they are quite sturdy to cruiser caliber shells and some dreadnought shells, although they won't stand up to direct hits at close range. While I don't personally own the Andrea Doria, I have played in her using a test drive, and I really do like the Duilio over the Andrea Doria. She does have more guns, but I prefer, like I've said before, secondary power over primary power. Got an interesting deck system which is upgraded over the Andrea Doria. You do lose the coal bunkers, but you do have much better deck armoring system. Looking at the X-ray, you can see that the majority of the ammo is underneath the waterline, and the main difference between the two gunnery-wise is the electric traverse system in the turrets. You have almost double the traverse speed over the Andrea Doria. 48 km/h top speed is fairly fast for this era of dreadnought, and it does handle fairly well, but in a hard turn, it takes a long time for your list to come back to center. So keep that in mind if you're taking drastic evasive action, because it is very hard to get your gunnery back on track. 6.7 is a pretty good battle rating for this ship. It is somewhat stronger than the Andrea Doria in gunnery, and in other ways it's a little bit weak. You have less main guns than the previous ship, but more armor. You have better shells, but less of them. You have bigger shells. Yeah, it's really up to personal preference. I like the ship, and I'm going to stand by it in the top 3 best looking ships. So let's jump in and have some games. First target we see in the Duilio. It's an aircraft. Get to test out its aircraft capabilities. Got a critical hit. Doesn't quite look like I finished him off though. Well, got him, but a little bit too late for the cap. Oh, hello there, Baron. That's one of my friends from iNavy. And he brought his friends with him. It'll be an interesting fight. Those guys usually get around in a 3-man squad at 7.0. So I'll just let him know the purpose of my gameplay here today is to play the new battleship. No doubt they have a very big squad of battleships, so me being the tip of the spear right now, I'm probably going to run straight into them. Also, a lot of the cruisers like to beach themselves. And who will our first target be? Seems to be a Bayern, perhaps? Send out our first volley. Try and get a quick alpha strike. No real damage, but I did manage to take out one of his barrels. The secondaries have a decent reload speed for 5.5-inch guns, but they're by no means fast. They do have armor-piercing shells though, which can be of benefit. Comes the first volley from my enemy here. Seems we managed to bounce that off the turret and the other one's overshot. We get a chance at a reply. We've managed to get through the belt armor there, the high belt armor. But again, no real crew damage. Keeping an eye on my other adversaries, we'll get the secondaries onto this Helena here. They're more likely to do damage to cruisers than this battleship. One of my gun turrets is offline due to angle. So we've lost a little bit of firepower, moving to ripple fire. Trying to capitalize on that damage I did through the belt. There we go. We managed to get deep into the ship there. Done a fair amount of crew damage. Sneaky scout plane moving across the field of view. AA are onto that. Oh, he's come back with a full broadside here. Oh, he's done a fair amount of damage. Nearly 60% crew damage. Damage is on par, but it seems that I have lost access to one of my guns here. It's stuck in the reloading loop. And also my damage model isn't changing. I've taken heaps of damage, but it's not telling me where. B turret has a damaged elevator by the look of it. I have been told that that is a bug and has been fixed. Or is being fixed, I should say. So we have to give a bit more angle to get our rear guns onto, to counter that deficiency. We're slightly ahead in the crew levels. He's got fire on board, no propulsion, and a hole in the hull. We've lost one barrel. Take some fire at this engaged Helena once my secondaries come online. They don't seem to want to fire. I've been hyper aggressive in this fight. It's not probably what you should do in this battleship. You aren't the strongest armor scheme out there. But I did just want to get right into a fight. Bayern's down to 28% crew. Does seem to have his flooding under management though. The rest of the team seem to be preoccupied with sailing in straight lines. Secondaries are working again now. I needed to repair them by the look of it. Managed to take out 2 gun turrets there on the Helena, so it is good. Has got powerful secondaries. Unfortunately, now it looks like my A turret's elevator is damaged. I've lost the X turret barrel. This looks like possibly one of the other iNavy guys helping out his friend. So we're going to take a sneaky shot at this guy. See if we can't do some critical damage. Ooh, nice and close now. I need to be mindful of this dreadnought's torpedoes. He does, and looks like I've been taken out by a random Zelenchnikov. Typical, typical, typical. My friend in the Bayern seems to have gone down to an ally and has now come back in a Scharnhorst. So I've managed to sneak up on him and let's see if we can do some... Uh-oh, what? What? Yo, Baron.
Spare me, Tyrael.
Don't shoot me, man. My game just crashed. As soon as I fired my volley, my game crashed. I hope I haven't crashed Gunship Stream, have I?
No, we're not.
Oh, hello,
we're not
Tyrael,
streaming
by the way,
anyway,
yeah.
so it's okay. How are you doing?
Hey, mate, how are you?
Yeah, good.
This you guys done?
How many crashes have you had?
That was my first, to be honest.
I've had 3 already.
The first day was terrible. Me and Green was into a battle, and we both went in 3 times in a row and just gave up that day.
That crash
Yeah,
happened as soon as I
time.
clicked the fire button.
Yeah, you know how in tanks and planes they have squadron battles, and it
Yes.
doesn't exist for Navy.
Yes.
I thought it could be fun if we could get our 2 squadrons together. Obviously, it'd have to be a custom battle,
Yep.
but like, you know, slug it out at 10v10 or 8v8 or something like that.
I think that would be very fun. Yeah, we could do like
I'm
a draw
down.
system, you know, just to pick the sides, like you would
Yeah.
picking a cricket team.
Oh well, I'll sit on the side with a drink and if we're playing cricket.
Be a good 5-hour match, that will.
Yeah, that's right. The old test match. eh?
Yeah, test match over 5 days. Yeah.
Bring back nightmares when I was at school getting picked last.
At least you got picked.
See, that's something you don't hear
Oh,
about
hello.
spoken about on YouTube very often. Naval and cricket.
Indeed.
I mean,
It's a new one.
You know, you set the game, you set the scenario, and you let the players do what they want from there. I think they're the best events, where you just sort of paint a picture and let everyone else make the magic happen. I don't know what they changed with the semi-armor piercing rounds, but
Congo's better.
yeah.
I think the AP is way to go at the moment. Almost
is.
every nation
It is.
ships.
I'm not a CC yet, so I
We'll get
couldn't
you there. We'll
request
get you
that.
there. I had to. I hassled them. Like I was like a tick. Pushed.
Hey Tyrael, I'll tell you this. I think one of my favorite videos that you've put out is the song one where you're in the 206 and it's
Oh, the pirate
the
shanty.
sailor song. That's the best video ever, dude. Just everything was like really good in it. So
Would you like
That's
to know
from
more?
Starship Troopers. Would you like to know? That's from Starship Troopers, isn't it?
It sure is. Also,
yeah, that's true. Yep.
also another favorite of mine. I leave little Easter eggs in all my content like that. Guess I'm going to see you on the other side again then.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
I'm just running solo.
I'm gonna load up my USSR just in case.
Someone brought a Moffat to a battleship fight. So we'll finish him off with some secondary fire. Bingo. It was a nice little diversion running into the iNavy guys. Conversation is good for the soul and great for morale. And as a result, I've been getting great 5.7 games ever since. Where you just have to find them, which island they've been smashed up against, and pummel them into oblivion. It's great for spading vehicles, but it doesn't leave much for excitement. And that's what I play this game for, excitement. I'm probably not using the most efficient shell to fight these cruisers, but I do like the thought of armor-piercing shells just cutting through a ship like a hot knife through butter. A knife so hot it's made from molten plasma. I swear using ripple fire is the way to go in battleships. It keeps that reload time manageable, it keeps shells constantly heading out there, and it also smashes through, so you hit one plate and then you hit it again a few seconds afterwards and it seems to do more damage. I highly recommend. Must try. There are many players that don't enjoy the concept of the circle fight because there's nothing to hide behind, but realistically, most of these ships fought in these types of engagements. Granted, it wasn't a giant death bowl, but you get what I mean. And you can really manage your threat if you're clever. Put yourself behind the fleet and let everyone else absorb that fire. Try and hide from the enemy capital ships so they don't see you. Keep pace with the fleet and don't stand out. Taking shots at this Graf Spey has been relatively casual affair because he doesn't know that I'm here. We didn't notice until he got really walloped by those big guns. This ship is definitely a battle cruiser within the meta, I think. Although it doesn't fit within that description, it certainly plays like a battle cruiser. You can't brawl directly with other dreadnoughts unless you get the drop on them first, and you're really careful with managing your reload. And at being at 6.7, I don't know if it's just me, but this is all I see. Cruisers galore, so yay me. And unironically, one of the best things about the Italian ships is the voice lines. They are so enthusiastic. It's great. I would love to be on a ship full of these men if that's how they really, really talk and sound. They sound like they're hanging out of the conning tower and screaming with joy. Even when they're worried, they're not worried. It's just like two blokes yelling at each other across the street in Venice. And the fact that I can just sit here and listen to the crew while casually absorbing monotonous amounts of cruiser fire is a testament to just how well this quick ammo rack of that Des Moines there. It's a testament to just how good the armor scheme is of this ship to cruiser fire. In fact, I would say it's probably a little bit too strong because I've absorbed fire for the better part of 10 minutes now. Being one of the faster ships of the era, you can use its speed to get into those really hard to hit places on a map. Like off the edges here in the island. There are a lot of players that mention to me that they find it hard to minimize their aggro or get away from being focused down. But a lot of it is not drawing attention to yourself at the start of the battle. And you can do that by not spawning in first and not instantly trying to take down the biggest, baddest ship that you see. In this battle, I didn't fire for the first 5 minutes. I skirted my way around the back, and here we are. Believe it or not, the visibility system in Warthunder's naval is a thing. It's just the maps are too small that you don't really notice it. For example, in a PT boat, the maximum visibility range is about 6 kilometers if you're looking at the target. But this isn't overly stimulating, and I don't particularly enjoy playing battleships in this game mode. Battleships should be played in naval enduring confrontation. That's where they shine, that's where the gameplay is interesting, and that's where you'll see some interesting matchups. I don't usually play so passively, and my passiveness this match has meant that someone has come through and taken one of the capture points with a PT boat. So we're going to destroy him, like efficiently. Like with my secondaries maybe. Some pinpoint accuracy. Go. Kill. Bing! You just need to will things sometimes. He wasn't happy. So precision shot, right? Kinda a pro, bro. No, I've had a bit of practice. Both being shot in a PT and shooting them. This used to be the worst single thing about using a dreadnought, was the inevitable reply airstrike. Fortunately now with these later warships we've got lots of anti-aircraft options, and you have to make them work a little bit harder for their dinner. He's going to try the old sneaky pop up and shot. Oh, there he is. Quick! Oh, he's rocket armed, so he's not as anticlimactic as it appeared to be. Coming back in a Des Moines, I think. There we go. It is solid hit to his front magazine. Oh, we've got a Cleveland or a Helena hiding behind this little island here. Turning in hard to port. We'll bring those guns around. Quick shot through the front turret to try and, there we go, detonate those ready rooms and slow that rate of fire down from those turrets. At this range, it is pretty deadly to us. He'll be able to strip all the deck crew. We'll try and hit that rear one. There we go, another one. That random armor-piercing shell, it looks like I'm firing mixed shells at the moment. That sometimes happens when you switch from secondary AA to primary weapons. And sometimes it's extremely useful. Well, despite capturing a point, it looks like we're going to lose as all of my team are now dead and I'm the remaining teammate. We still got Terror of the Sea and Survivor. My goal with these videos is to give you the information and let you make your own subjective choice. I don't want to tell you that a ship's good or bad because they all have their own uses. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, Commander Tyrael, out.